Hi everyone, welcome back to Lost Creek. My name is Scott. We are back at the 1989 Jeep YJ project. So in the last episode, we finished painting up the frame and got that all cleaned up. Looks great. I'm very excited. And now I'm very excited to get the axle back under the frame and hook back up to the leaf springs. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to take the axle and get it back on the Jeep, get it back on four wheels again, and then we will probably tackle the gas tank and get that cleaned up and painted. Stay tuned. Okay, like I said before, the frame is all ready for an axle. One of the first things we need to do is to swap these little wedges back up to the top of the leaf spring. A stock Jeep YJ has a axle over leaf spring configuration, and I'm going to leave it like that. I don't need the extra clearance. This has already got a 4-inch lift on it, and it's going to have a 1-inch body lift on it. Should be absolutely fine for what I'm going to do. But this donor Jeep that I put onto the back of this frame actually did have an axle under leaf spring configuration. It was very, very tall, had monstrous tires on it, etc. I'm not going that route, at least not yet. So we're going to go ahead and put this back to a relatively stock axle leaf spring configuration. All right, there it is. Axle's back where it's supposed to be, living inside the leaf springs. Please don't pay attention to the horribly rusty drums. Those are getting exchanged out for some brand spanking new ones. You guys got to remember, this thing came from the East Coast, man. Salt had its way with this YJ. So we're trying to reverse time a little bit and give this thing a few more years. So now we're going to go ahead and put on the U-bolts. Okay, there's my U-bolts now. I had to swap U-bolts on this build because, number one, U-bolts aren't very expensive. I went and found these online. I couldn't have paid more than 40, 50 bucks for them. They're from a reputable company. So I didn't feel the need to have to try to reuse the U-bolts that were on there. However, the U-bolts that were on there were so rusty that I actually had to cut them off. So for me, it wasn't really an option. For you, it may be. So I've got a brand new set of U-bolts, new nuts, new washers, and then if you remember, I reconditioned these plates. So these are, ground down and painted black, so those should last a long time. It's pretty thick steel anyway, not really necessarily a big deal. So I'll go ahead and get these on there. I will be using an anti-seize product on the threads because, I may want to swap this out and do, the axle under the leaf spring combination once I get tires on it, bigger tires. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can remove these pretty easily. There's always interesting times during your build where you do something really easy and straightforward and it makes you feel like you made monstrous progress. Today was one of those days. Axle's in, bolts are tight. It looks great. I've got an axle back under the Jeep again. It's painted. I'm happy. I'm happy that it looks like this. Now I'm going to dig into the brakes and put some shocks on here, put a sway bar in here, and really start buttoning up this rear axle. Now right in this spot, ignore the pan full of junk, right in this spot was a gas tank. Now you all saw it, I think it was episode 1 or 2, where I was mating the frame together with the original frame, and I took the gas tank out. This is the gas tank. It's got remnants of old fuel in it. It's disgusting. It smells horrible. It's very dirty. Definitely not putting this beauty, or excuse me, not putting this wreck into that beauty. So today we're going to go ahead and pull this apart first thing and see what we got from there. We need to wash that out. Maybe a little lacquer thinner, clean that out real good. Get some of that old, crappy, horrible smelling gas out of there. And then clean that up real nice. Okay, we're gonna take a little peek inside that tank. I don't know if I feel like cleaning this. It's horrid. But I mean, here's the thing. Again, it's a plastic gas tank. So I'm gonna actually pull apart the other gas tank and see what that looks like. Hopefully it's better. This is nasty, and I'm gonna barf. We're going to take a look inside the tank from the original 89 YJ, and that is beautiful. Guess which one I'm using? This one right here. So, this is the one we're going to be using. I will be refurbishing this one then. It'll still fit in the same cradle. It still fits in the same spot. If you look at it right here and right here, they're identical. They're identical tanks. They're both made out of plastic. This one is going to take a lot less work to get ready to rock and roll. So this is the one that we're going to clean and condition, and we'll probably replace the screen on that pickup a little bit. We'll see. Take a look at that real carefully and see if it needs anything. This tank was as clean as a whistle, and here's why. When I originally bought the 89 Jeep YJ, it ran. Oh, actually, it didn't run. It ran when it broke, and then the kid sold it to me because it broke, and then I fixed it, and then it ran. So my point to you is this, is that this tank had good fuel and was hooked up to a running motor before I started this disassembly. Okay, so for all you naysayers that think I just wasted my time conditioning the plastic on the gas tank, I'm going to give you a little example of why I did what I did. Again, it's personal pride. It's personal pride in my product. Excuse me, my project. It's personal pride. When I walk out here at night or during the day and I'm looking at my project, I'm like, dang, that looks nice. It gives me incentive to work on the rest. So let me show you why I did what I did. This is the gas tank that I just finished. This is what it looked like right before. Both these gas tanks on the outside look like crap, right? Dirty, dusty, covered in grease and oil, etc. Now, can you look at the difference? You're telling me that the 6-7 minutes I spent cleaning that gas tank off and then conditioning the plastic was wasted? I disagree. I gave it a shot sandblasting it with my small machine, not all that small, but my sandblaster, my home sandblaster, got 90% of the rust gone. I'm gonna get back to it with my really heavy duty wire wheel on my grinder, see if I can get it just a little bit cleaner. Well, the last little bit of work I did, obviously I didn't press play on the camera, so unfortunately you guys kind of missed that. Apologize. All I did was finish cleaning the gas tank skid plate, and I gave it a coat of primer. So here's what I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind and I've decided to do it a different way. I was going to use POR 15, right? Paint over rust 15, which is a direct to metal product, no big deal. But I had to go buy that. I had a nice brand new can of it's a Raptor product, but it was a self-etching, or acid etching primer, which is great, which is fine, which means it'll bite into the metal and give me a good substrate to then paint on. Now I have in my cabinet a catalyzed black paint that I think I'm going to use. It's the same black paint that I'm going to use on the roll bars. That's to come. And it's fine because it's catalyzed. It will be, I'm not going to say impervious to fuel, but definitely it's not going to peel away. Not like a spray paint can worth of, black paint, right? That'll just wipe right off. This is like a car paint. This is basically a catalyzed car paint that I will use on the skid plate. It's black, like everything else, and it should do the job just fine, and I have it. So I think what I'll do is I'll let the primer dry. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Came out nice. It's primer, not real exciting. I'll go through and give that a scuff up later on the next time I do work on the Jeep. I'll give that a scuff. I'll paint it black. Done. Product we're going to use to paint the skid plate is a 5-star product. Not an expensive paint by any means. And it's just a catalyzed, one-step or single-stage paint. But here, if you see, this is our mixing instructions, right? Tells you all about it. Sometimes paint cans don't have this, and you got to go look up the spec sheet, but every paint company's got the spec sheet online. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix 4 parts paint, 1 parts reducer, 1 parts hardener. Finished product, gas tank's in, straps are in, all the bolts are in. So you see here I've got the wire in the way again. I've got all 3 of these bolts. They're just nuts and bolts. They're just locked down. I put anti-seize on them like I said before. There's 4 in the back. Let's see if I can give you... that is not even an interesting shot at all. But yeah, all 4 of those are done. You can see the sloppy mess I made of the anti-seize. But it's in, and it's solid, rock solid. I will I'm going to look into replacing this, even though this one looks really good. I actually don't know if it's any good at all, so I might check that out and see if that's something I need to replace. If it's cheap enough, I'll do it. Because once the body's on this thing, the tank's kind of actually a pain in the rear end to drop. So I may do it just as cheap insurance. We'll see. Well, that's it for Lost Creek. That's it for this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was just a touch informative. It would be a completely different job if I had to do it while the body was on the Jeep. So I'm not going to be much help there, but at least you know how it's fastened to the frame. So tank looks great. I'm very, very, very happy. This is just one more step in buttoning up the rear of this YJ. So yeah, pretty happy. So again, that's it for this episode. I hope you guys had a great time. I know I did. Have a great afternoon, and we will talk to you soon.